I don't think it's going to break $1 million, but I think it's going to be close. I personally think we're going to see it sell for about $825,000. And the actual retail price is... What can I say? Every now and then I get one right. So, last night, Goldin Auctions ended their first ever pop culture, comics, trading cards, video game auction. And overall, as a whole, I assume Goldin has to be very happy with the results. In the video game section specifically, we did have some record sales on some items. We had some items that didn't really have comps that set new price points. And we also had some games that did disappoint on the other side. So for the video games, it was a little bit of a mixed bag, but pretty decent results overall. I'm gonna get into the recap in just a second here, but do keep in mind as we go through comparative results here that this is Goldin Auctions' first ever auction, and this is introducing now a new auction house into the market. So a lot of the comparative results are going to come from Heritage, but obviously at this point Heritage is much more established. Goldin Auction is the new person, so there's always going to be speculation with, oh, it could have sold higher or lower on Heritage, or oh, the right people weren't at this Goldin Auction. And then even there are also things with how Goldin Auction simply runs its auction that was a bit different. There's the possibility that people didn't get registered in time or increased their account limits. There's the possibility that people wanted to bid on items, but since they didn't bid earlier, they weren't able to bid later. You have to bid early in order to bid in the closing windows. And any other speculations as to why certain items didn't get certain results and why certain items did get certain results. At this point, there's really too many variables to pin down exactly what happened with certain results, so just take it what it is at face value, and we're gonna get more data points in the future. And with all that said, let's hop over to the Goldin Auctions website and start by looking at the Super Mario 64 that only sold for $800,000. So right off the bat, let's talk about the 9.8 A++ Super Mario 64 selling for only $800,000, where the previous high sale for this was $1.56 million. So obviously almost 50% lower than the previous price point. And now at $800,000, it still begs the question, is this a more normal price for Mario 64? When the next one comes up, whether that's in 1 month, 5 months, 1 year from now, what will it sell for? Now we have a high point and a low point for this game in this grade. Will the next one fall in the middle of these two, or will it continue another tier down? Now I don't know if it's overall surprising that we did see this game fall down almost half that it sold for last time. If there truly were only 2 people bidding on Heritage that valued it over $1 million, then as soon as one of those people leave the bidding pool, the floor can easily fall out on this game. It sounds extreme to say the floor fell out. It should have never sold for $1.5 million the first time. So really, if you were to eliminate that $1.5 million price point on Super Mario 64, and I told you, hey, Mario 64 just sold for $800,000. We would all have the same exact response to this $800,000 sale as we had to the $1.56 million sale. It's just now our minds are anchored and framed differently. So just keep that in mind as well. This is still an insanely staggering sale for Mario 64, and I honestly still think this is inflated for this game. No, I don't think it's insanely common. No, I don't think we're gonna have hundreds if not thousands of them in this grade. We'll see what happens when the next one sells. My bet would be that it goes down a bit more from this price point. We'll see what happens. Coming back to the main page here though, and what is actually amazing is that right down here, there's a VGA 95 uncirculated Super Mario 64 that only sold for $246,000. Now I've heard other experts say that this 95 would not cross to a 9.8 A++ based on the differences between how WATA grades versus how VGA grades N64 games. Now whether or not that's true, we don't know because it hasn't been attempted, it hasn't been crossed at this point. But anyone actually looking at these two grades who understands the VGA scale as well as the WATA scale knows that a 95 should, in most instances, cross to a 9.8 A++, or at least be in extremely similar condition. Some people would even argue for the 95 to be in better condition than the 9.8 A++. So it creates a really tough spot of trying to properly value the VGA 95. Obviously, the market is confident in WATA sales. That is what everyone has seen sell for high prices. That is what investors have seen sell for high prices. That is what articles have spoken about. Inherently, I think on its own, that wards off a lot of deep-pocketed bidders. Now, yes, if you buy this, you could just leave it as a VGA 95 and have a mint Mario 64 in your collection. However, if we are doing price comparisons against the 9.8 A++, then you have to take this 95 and swap it to a 9.8 A++ in order to expect the same price action. Does that make sense? So in swapping this, even though they should be in similar condition, you still run the risk of anything happening during the grading process swap, or the risk of it only coming back a 9.6 A++. And this is a common thing in other graded collectibles as well, where the leading grading company will command the premium even if two items are in similar condition but in different slabs. Except in most instances, the gap between these two items wouldn't be $550,000. I'm not sure if this means that people don't understand the VGA scale well enough. Maybe it's a lack of education, maybe it's a lack of trust in VGA. It's really hard to say what exactly caused this huge price discrepancy, but I think it's way too large for two items that should be in near similar condition. Take it for what you will. So with the Mario 64s out of the way, let's go into the rest of the games here that had really strong sales or broke records. So obviously up here in the top right hand corner, we have Sonic 1 selling for $430,000. Now as far as Sega Genesis games go, there really hasn't been this insane price action that we're seeing on Nintendo games. The highest Sega Genesis game to date is this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist 9.6 A+ that sold for $66,000 back in July. So coming back over to this Sonic now and seeing that it sold for $430,000 might be surprising to some people. But more than this being a surprising sale price, this is the result of there simply being an absolute drought on Sonic 1 coming to the market. Sonic 1 in factory sealed form is extremely hard to find in any condition. So the 9.4A comes up and we finally see a real open sale price on this game in today's environment. In my preview video, I was expecting $500,000 for this. It hit $430,000. I think it's a super strong sale for Sonic. And very interestingly, right here where it says image coming soon, they don't have it done up yet, but we are going to see a 9.6A Sonic come to Heritage Auctions at the end of October. So we're gonna get another price point very soon on Sonic 1 on Genesis. So if you think this sale is an outlier or an anomaly, weak, strong, we're gonna find out in another month or so. Another game that did super well over here on Goldin Auctions was Super Mario Bros. 2 Black Seal 9.4A+, sold for $136,000. This is the first time a Mario 2 has ever crossed the six-figure mark. The closest comparison we have is a 9.0A back on Heritage back on April, so it sold for $40,000. So I mean, yes, there is a big jump here in grade condition, as well as, you know, this was back in April, which sounds crazy to say in the span of like 4 or 5 months, prices just go wild, but that's how quick the video game market has been moving. So do keep in mind that this price action is purely for a Circle Seal Super Mario Bros. 2. This is not for the Oval Seal, which has totally different price points and rarity. This is for Circle Seal Early Print Mario Bros. 2, new record at $136,000. This one right here, a Rev A Zelda selling for $233,000. There isn't a real comp for this as well, as some of the more expensive Zeldas that have sold have all been no Rev A revisions. Down in the very bottom right hand corner of the game, you'll see a little Rev A printed there. It's the same kind of difference there with Mario 2, how I said Circle Seal versus Oval Seal. It's the same thing as when we talk about Mario Bros. And we talk about Hang Tab without Hang Tab. This is a massive revision on Zelda 1. Kind of funny to look back on. This is a 9.0A back on Heritage Auctions from November 22nd, 2019, and you can see that it sold for $19,000. So now when we go back to Goldin Auctions, we had the same grade, same revision sell for 10 times as much, basically, in the span of 2 years. That is just insane. Any way you want to look at that, that is just insane appreciation in the span of 2 years. I think it's a very strong sale for a Rev A Zelda. Of course, there was also the Hang Tab Super Mario Bros. 9.2A condition sold for $676,000, which again, I think is a very good sale on this. It's at least in line with what Heritage Auctions has done on this game. So this is a 9.2A later print Hang Tab selling for $676,000. If we go back to Heritage, back in April, they sold a 9.6A plus earlier print for $660K. So we are seeing extremely similar price action on a 9.2A that just back in April used to purchase you a 9.6A plus. You know, I think some people might have been underwhelmed with the Mario sale, but really, I don't know how much more we could have expected. Yes, we could say, oh, it would have sold more on Heritage and it undersold on Goldin, but it's all speculation at that point. So at $676,000, I think it shows another great price point for Super Mario Bros. Heroes hang tab and selling right in line with the type of appreciation you would expect to see based on the amount of time that's passed and everything else taking place in the market. Coming down as well here, we have the 9.2 A plus oval seal selling for 124,000, which maybe this one could have sold for a little bit more, but again, it's the kind of the noise of an auction where we don't see a whole lot of them come up in general. Right beside it though, we do have a 7.0 B plus hang tab version selling for very close to what the oval seal sold for. So there's always that question of variant matters a lot, right? Obviously, the older, rarer, minter better, the old SM Pradism. So when we talk about variants here, a 7.0 B plus versus a 9.2 A plus more common variant. So what we can see is that a 9.2 A plus, even of a worse variant, of a more common variant, people are prioritizing getting better condition than they are simply getting the earlier print overall. I was always personally wondering where that cut line is drawn. So apparently it's somewhere around 9.2 A plus versus 7.0 B plus on the hang tab. Now that's not a hard fast rule, just what happened in this auction. Here is an absolute high record price on Mortal Kombat. We have never seen a 9.8 A plus come to market, sold for $81,000. Now what we are seeing on some of these first to market games is that when the next one comes to market, it could sell for a lot less. It's really hard to say. When a new one comes to market, we're just kind of getting a price discovery on the item. Once we have that first price point found, then we can start deciding if it should be higher or should be lower based on how many more come to auction due to this price point. Other people holding Mortal Kombat now might be like, oh shit, I should try to cash out and get a piece of that 81,000, which inherently will likely drive the sale lower for each sequential one that comes out. We'll see what happens with Mortal Kombat, but this is absolutely a record high price for this game. 007 GoldenEye, also a game here that has a record high price at open auction. $59,000 for a 9.4 A++. Pretty insane sale. Another record price here, Marvel vs. Capcom, 9.8 A++. We've never seen any kind of price action on this one this high, almost $50,000 for Marvel vs. Capcom. Street Fighter 2 is one here that also saw a pretty strong sale. We had a 9.8 A++ sold for $37,000. Back on Heritage, back in April, 5 months ago, it sold for $24,000. So that's pretty good appreciation and showing that there are eyes on Goldin Auctions. For all of the Minecraft fans out there, 9.6 A++ Minecraft absolutely setting a new record on this game, selling for $12,000. It is a first print of Minecraft, but I mean, super strong sale there. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater gets a new price point on it, 9.2 A+, selling for $12,300. We haven't seen much for Tony Hawk's anywhere at open auction. Star Fox also got a new record here at almost $12,000 for 9.4 A+. Sonic Adventure easily becomes the most expensive Dreamcast game now at almost $10,000 for the 9.8 A++. Sports fans showed up for Kobe Bryant Courtside, selling for $7,300 for 9.0 A+. This price action to me is absolutely insane on Kobe Bryant Courtside. I know it's Kobe Bryant, I know it's a great sports game to have, but seeing this game in 9.0 A+ sell for $7,000 is just crazy to me. And there are a bunch of other sales there that I'm not touching on that did have strong price action based on everything else we've seen. Yes, there's always going to be debate and speculation about something could have sold higher on Heritage or it could have sold lower somewhere else. And in fairness now, let's look at some really underwhelming sales that Goldin Auctions did have. Because it wasn't all pretty across the board. There were definitely some items that underwhelmed. So starting off here with results that did underwhelm compared to what myself and others were expecting. We had Legend of Zelda here, Link to the Past 9.4 A+, sold for $59,000. And right, that's a pretty strong sale for Zelda. Okay, Super Nintendo Zelda, $60,000. Well, back on Heritage in July 9th signature auction, a 9.2 A+ sold for $96,000. Now, obviously, it's one price point. We shouldn't put too much weight into single price points, but with this one selling for $96,000 back in July, there was a lot of expectation for this 9.4 A+ to exceed that sale. And obviously seeing the higher condition copy sell for almost $40,000 less on Goldin versus Heritage, this is a tough one to see and one of the most disappointing sales on Goldin Auctions for myself. Now another one that might have seemed pretty soft to people is the Final Fantasy VII 9.8 A+, sold for $48,000. And this is a realistic violence first print. So again, $50,000 on a Final Fantasy VII looks like a really strong sale for it, and it honestly is a strong sale on Final Fantasy VII. But if we compare back to what this 9.8 A+ sold for back in July on Heritage, $144,000. That is almost a $100,000 drop on Final Fantasy VII between sales. That's the type of stuff that gets you wondering, would it have sold for more over on Heritage Auctions? Realistically, I don't think FF7 should have ever been a $100,000 game to begin with. This is more, for me, in line with the same kind of correction that we saw in Mario 64, but the numbers are lower. What are your thoughts on FF7? It's not really that rare of a game. It really is kind of like Mario 64 in a lot of ways. One of the best titles on PS1, not the rarest game on PS1, but a hell of a lot of demand. Let me know what you think about that. The Pokemon games also saw a big slump here on Goldin Auctions, and this might just be a normal effect of Pokemon Euphoria wearing off. We have been seeing prices fall even over on Heritage Auctions. However, this was a 9.4 A+ Sandshrew print here selling for $37,000. If we go back to Heritage Auctions, we saw a 9.4 A++ Sandshrew sell for $132,000 back in July. Now, should one extra plus on the seal rating equate to almost a $100,000 drop in value? Probably not, right? This is another one where maybe the Pokemon crowd is a lot stronger over on Heritage. Maybe Pokemon games should have never been selling for as high as they were in the first place. It's another one where I wish this was on Heritage Auctions so we had a pure one-to-one comparison, but we work with what we have here. Another one that saw a similar drop here was Pokemon Emerald. It sold over on Heritage Auctions for $76,000 and now sold here for $32,000. Again, it might just be a natural slump in Pokemon as they keep coming out of the woodwork, but it's hard to say. Another one that didn't really do as good as I was expecting it to was this Battletoads at 9.6 A+ selling for $19,000. Back on Heritage, we did see a 9.4 A++ sell for $38,400. So this copy over here has 0.2 better on the box, but it is only an A+ seal versus an A++, and it sold for roughly half the value. That Heritage sale was the first time we did see Battletoads explode into the upper echelon of NES games, so maybe this is just a bit of a correction. Maybe it would have sold better on Heritage, but I was expecting more price action on this game. A 9.4 A Halo Combat Evolved sold for about half that a 9.6 A sold for over on Heritage. Mario Party 2 was actually one that also saw a pretty big price drop since the last public 9.8 A++ sale. If there was a different one that sold, please do let me know. But this one sold for $6,150, 9.8 A++. And back on Heritage in April, a 9.8 A++ sold for $12,600. So almost double the price there. So that one was a little bit interesting to see how much the price went down. And as we get into some of these lower price things, we get into this debate of, oh, they would have sold more on Heritage due to the bidding style or how it works. And the one thing I will say is that a lot of people who bid on auctions, there are resellers, there are speculators, that's just how the market works. And a lot of people who look at this stuff do look to bid opportunistically. And the way Goldin Auctions is set up, it kind of is against that type of bidding style. So let's say I wanted to win this Contra Hard Corps, right? I look at the end price and I'm like, wow, I definitely would have paid $2,400 for it. But I'm not allowed to bid at the end of the auction unless I place a bid earlier in the auction. So you know how on Heritage or other auction sites, eBay for instance, you can bid whenever you want, it doesn't matter, and you can join the auction whenever you want. Most people bid at the very end. On Goldin, you have to bid previously if you want to be a part of the extended bidding section. So I think on a lot of this lower end stuff, these lower end prices, people weren't able to bid at the very end to create floors on these types of items. Now, whether you think that's a good thing or that's a bad thing, I think it is something that did affect the lower end items, some of the items that did end lower. I'm not saying the items that ended for $50,000 would have been bid up by this stuff, but some of these prices here, like Paper Mario selling for $2,400, when we've seen it sell for more in Heritage Weekly, probably would have been propped up more if people could have just saw, hey, that's selling for pretty low, I'll take it at that price, but then not being allowed to bid due to Goldin's rules. But that is what it is. That's only speculation on my part. That is what I personally think was the biggest issue with this auction style. There is a lot more friction on this website in order to get bidding high amounts than there is on Heritage or other auction sites. So who knows how people felt about it. We'll see how the next one goes. But that's my overall recap there. Like I said, I think for the first attempt by Goldin Auctions, they should be happy with the overall results here. There were some really good, strong sales on one side of it. On the other side, there were some sales that did underwhelm. It's impossible to say how they would have done on any other auction platform, so all we can do is take it at face value and wait for more data points to come in. Hopefully you enjoyed this recap. If you have any thoughts on any of the sales, please do put them below. I'd love to hear about it, and I will see you guys next time.